You know, yeah, I'm talking from my class, but without students. There's no student here.
Okay, no, I can hear you much more clearly than last time you were in.
Am I the only one here in the room?
Well, yeah, but I've only put the link up. You were incredibly quick. I put the link up about, I don't know,
Really?
30 seconds ago.
Really?
So
we're alone.
I think it'll, there are other people who were in the middle. Okay, here's somebody else.
Yeah, this is Mary, maybe. This is Mary.
Hello, Mary. Hello, can you hear us?
Hello.
Oh, yes, you can. Oh, that's super. Okay.
How are you?
Good, good. Where are you talking to us from?
I'm talking from Iran.
Ah, okay.
Tehran.
Okay. That's great. Oh, and another person. What I'll do is watch names, and if we get up to 10 people, I'll actually go and lock the room because I think it will just get unmanageable otherwise, okay? So just in the next minute or two, there might be a few more new people. Kate's arrived, but we've only got the chair, Kate.
Yeah.
If you go up to the top of your screen where it says speaker view, you can toggle so that you can see everybody all at once if you want to.
Yeah. Are you talking to me? I can see everyone, I guess.
Can you? Okay. Oh, you've got yours on speaker view from the beginning then. There may be one or two more people because certainly Zahra was asking me about the link earlier in the day. So
yeah.
I'll just, as I say, I'll just keep an eye on who's coming in. Where's Kate? Have you got the same thing? You can just see an empty room.
Yeah. There are a lot of people online on the website.
Yes, no, I think there will be a couple more people who appear. You have to, I mean, if it's the first time you've ever used Zoom, it takes a moment to download it and accept things. So it might take people a couple of minutes to come in.
Yeah, actually I teach on the Zoom, you know.
Okay.
So I'm quite familiar.
Oh, you're probably ahead of us then, because I've only been using it for 4 or 5 weeks. And I chose it. Well, I chose it because we used to use Skype and I used to use Google Hangouts quite a lot, but it depends where you are. And it can be quite difficult to connect with some of those in some countries. So it's expand in quite a few countries, for example. Hello there.
Hello.
Another person. Can you hear us? You're going to have to help us a bit because your name's written in Arabic and that defeats me, I'm afraid.
His name is Ayub Khaldun.
Ah, you can read it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Have you got your...
Sure.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, okay.
I'm connecting now.
Yes, no, you're coming through now. That's great. Okay.
You
what happened to Kate?
Perhaps we should be worried. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
she's come back. She's come back. Kate, we were worrying about you. We just had an empty screen. Can you hear us?
Okay. Yeah, sure, definitely.
Okay.
Have you got any questions so far for me?
No, you're the one who's meant to come with questions, but my first question to you would be how to say your name, because it's written in Arabic and I don't know how to say it.
It is Khaldun al-Rawashdi. Khaldun.
Khaldun. Okay.
Khaldun, yeah, from the back throat. Yeah, from the back throat.
Okay. It's easy with the other people. They have names written. Kate, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Just, I
okay.
didn't know that they would the camera and they had a mess. Just wash it out.
My question, Sally, is about the timing for our course. It seems that it's very squeezed. We should bear in mind that we have work, everyday work, around 8 hours work on daily basis. So we don't have the apt time to fulfill the requirement of a demanding course like the Delta. I think we have different position and situation from those who are running the course in full time, like those who are joining the ITI right now.
No, they're working full time as well. What you need to do is make a decision for yourself about how much time you can put aside to study. And if you're teaching a lot of hours, you're quite right that it's hard to do this course on top of a lot of hours. But you don't have to decide whether to enter the June exam or not until the end of April. So because when you decide to enter, once you've paid the entry fee, you have to go and do the exam. Well, you don't have to, but you don't get the entry fee money back. So until then, you can do as many activities as you can and try to decide, are you going to be ready or are you not going to be ready? And if you think you're not going to be ready, don't panic. Just do things more slowly. Make yourself a longer term plan that will help you finish by December, because that's the next time the exam will happen. We will put out a message on the forums later in the year when we're about to start the new September course, and we'll say anyone who either didn't take the exam yet or didn't pass it, because sometimes people don't pass first time, anyone in that position, mail me and I'll enroll you in the new course and you can use the resources all over again. You'll be able to stay in the old Moodle until then. So you can space your work out over time if you really are teaching very high hours. But yeah, it is a very intensive course. I'm sure they told you that in the interview. It takes a lot of effort and study for most people to do this.
So
Yeah,
can I ask two questions?
We need just a moment, please. We need to have time to read the extra resources, not only those are available in the Moodle. We need to read the books, for example, that were given to us or recommended to us. We need to take extra time to be very well prepared and to research the topics and our study very well in a good way.
Well, how do that changes for different people? Some people will know quite a lot of those things already, and some people will find that in some subjects they definitely need to start reading quite a lot. That's what you need to make your own plan about how much time you think you need. You don't have to read every link or every book, but you do have to work out how much you know and how much you need to know. And the best way of doing that is by doing some of the exam practice. Do the early exam practice so you can get a sense of how much you already know. Okay?
Yeah, inshallah.
Okay. Mary, you were trying to ask something.
Yeah. First, can I make a suggestion?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Out of
please.
experience,
Yeah.
when we teach on Zoom, and when I'm talking as a teacher, I ask my students to mute themselves, so the noise would be less, and you can hear everybody much better. So as you saw, I muted myself when Khaldun was talking. So whatever. My first question, I started reading about language today. So, and as I was reading, I realized that there were lots of things that I knew. For example, inductive learning, deductive learning. But for example, for this exam practice B, I had no idea of genre. Okay, and I tried to, find something on A to Z, Thornberry, or the Applied Linguistic Dictionary, but I couldn't. My problem is I don't know where to start. I have all the
It is overwhelming. Yeah, the resources are overwhelming.
Let Mary finish. Let Mary finish.
We need
Okay.
somebody to guide us from time to time to put us on the right.
Okay. Let Mary finish. Okay.
Thank you. So I have printed out everything and I have categorized them because I need to categorize things in order to understand and read and, learn them. So I just did some phonetic parts and then I just read some parts about the ELT history. And then for this week, I didn't do anything on articles or grammar, or just I watched your video on the spoken grammar, but I don't know exactly where I should start. I don't know if I should focus on phonetics and then I should focus on, ELT and then I should focus on skills, or no, I have to, have a parallel kind of studying and just move on. And, this is my problem and I'm freaked out. you know.
I think the key is to start somewhere.
I think it's a general case with everybody.
Yeah, I think it probably is. Okay.
The same manner of study.
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to. Oops. Trying to not mute some people and mute other people. Here we go. I think it's up to you. Different people have different things that suit them, but if it were me, I think I'd want to mix things up. So I think I'd make a list, for a big list that's all the things I think I'd like to have done before the exam, and then choose bits of it for each week. So maybe have a list of 2 or 3 2 or 3 books that you'd like to read, and then put for this week 3 chapters of one book, this week 3 chapters of another book. Then have things you'd like to do, like working with the phonology app, the Cambridge Phonology app that's linked to on the website, and again, have 20 minutes of that in a lunch break, have that at different places on different lists. So if in a perfect world, you'd have the big list with everything you'd like to achieve, and then you take bits of it across, because I think I don't know if different people work in different ways, but I think if you do one thing for a very long time, it stops being very effective. And that chopping and changing and doing a little bit of something at different times can be a lot more effective.
Okay. All right. So got it. So there is another question. I'm preparing a Quizlet, all right, but I don't know if I have to memorize everything or no. I just need to, because I'm a person who takes pictures of things, and I am very good at memorizing, but I'm not sure if that works. And I sometimes see a term that doesn't include an example, and I think that, so if this term comes up in task 2, how can I make an example? So this is another problem that I have. Are the terms, does the exam just include the terms that have examples, or no, just without examples?
Well, actually, sometimes I look at the questions myself and think, I'm not sure how you would make an example for that. It's going to take quite a long time to say. So they do sometimes have terms where it's a little harder to see intuitively what they want. But I think my emphasis would be on doing other things, on reading widely, and on doing something with what I'm reading. So making notes from the reading and then applying it. That's the idea behind the projects, that it gives you things to analyze, so that you are, because all of the learning research suggests that the best thing to do is use it in some way, and that's what makes it stick, and that will be more effective than trying to memorize. It's not impossible, but it's the hardest way of going about doing it, I think.
So I guess Kate has written something.
Oh, sorry, Kate. You're better at this than me, Mary. You've had more practice.
Do you hear me?
Oh, yes. Keep talking, Kate.
Yeah, because I'm using it for the first time, so I don't really understand how it works. Right now I'm reading the book Beyond the Sentence. And so far, I have acquainted 2 terms which I didn't really understand. Nominalization, about coherence and cohesion, how it works. And encapsulation. This term, I almost didn't understand it all.
Well, I can do cohesion and coherence for you quickly off the top of my head, but the other 2 I'd have to check what you meant by. Cohesion and coherence are about the way texts fit together. So any text, any piece of a magazine article, for example, the main message should be clear. If the message is clear, it's coherent.
Yeah, I understand coherence and cohesion itself, but in this book, Scott Thornberry gives features of what makes a text coherent and what makes a text cohesive. And I have been writing down some information like nominalization.
Nominalization is about making things more densely based around nouns. So it's a feature of academic writing. When you and I talk, we tend to talk with lighter subjects and less complex sentences and clauses. If you nominalize, you make very big, dense nouns, and that's what tends to happen when you're doing academic, when you're trying to make something, trying to write something academic. Encapsulation, I'm not sure myself. I'd have to look at what he'd said to check. Anyone?
I think like a noun phrase, I guess, because nominalization refers.
Oh, nominalization, yes, that's connected to noun phrases. You haven't come across encapsulation, have you, Mary?
No, I haven't encapsulated.
Okay, I can look it up for you, Kate.
The definition is like encapsulation. Focal sentence represents the text at the moment.
Perhaps he's talking about a kind of summary. That's what it sounds like. I'll check it for you, okay? If I don't get back to you.
Yeah, I mean, do we need it for the module 1 or?
Well, nominalization would be good. That's useful. Encapsulation, I'm not so sure, given that I haven't heard it. but it might be useful. I want to look it up now. You've asked about it.
Okay, because I'm like reading and generally understand the stuff about cohesion or coherence, but these two terms, I mean, I just cannot come up even with any examples.
Nominalization is interesting. If you go and look at, I haven't looked at the noun phrases project group, what they did for their final project, but that would connect to it. Last week.
Substitution. Is it like substitution?
No,
when I
that's something else again.
No.
That's something else again. Nominalization is making, rather than saying, making large, dense nouns that do a lot of work, rather than explaining it in a sentence that has clauses. Have you made one?
Can I talk? Yeah,
Yes.
I found it. Nominalization. Okay, the grammatical process of forming nouns from other parts of speech, usually verbs or adjectives. For example, in English, nominalized forms from the verb to write is writing, writer, as in his writing is illegible, her mother is a writer. So you make a noun out of a verb.
Gerund.
No, not necessarily.
It's quite hard to explain in speech. I'll write you some examples when we finish talking, okay? And I'll look up encapsulation because I'm curious about that now.
Yeah, I'm just doing it. I'm just looking.
All right, okay. Have you got the Dictionary of Applied Linguistics there?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, good for you. That's very useful.
Yeah, it is. But, you know, I have a problem because I studied TEFL, teaching English as a foreign language, and I have like 100 books, okay, related to skills and methods and approaches and different things. And that panics me, okay, because I think I need to read all of them now, and I didn't need all of them when I was, studying for my master's. So
it's a different way of looking at things. It's great that you have that kind of resource to go to. And it will be really helpful for you, okay? But don't panic about it. Just keep doing things, applying things, yeah?
Okay, so
I've written down, but I'm going to, it's on my list. I'll get back to you in the forums with some examples, all right?
Okay.
Hello.
Sorry. For the next course, as you said, we can be enrolled. Do we have to pay again, or no? We can
not the course. No. Once you've joined one of our courses, we'll let you drop into older courses until you pass the exam or sit the exam. Okay.
And we need to decide until the end of April in order to enter the exam.
In fact, this week I'll put out messages about what you need to do if you do want to enter the exam, because you need to start to make that decision now. The final deadline on that, I think, is about the end of April. Yeah?
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I have a point, Dr. Sally.
Okay.
It's about the projects. I feel that the way that we are doing our projects is not the right or the recommended way, because not too many people are joining the groups.
You just said yourself, Khaldun, you just said yourself, it's hard to do things on top of a full-time job. I'm really happy if anybody does any of the projects. I will not criticize anyone for not having time to do a project.
Clarify the point for you. Let me clarify the point for you. It's not a matter of choice. The projects are very important because here you are researching a lot of topics, important topics for our study. When they are well prepared and around 500 words only, not for example 2,000 or 2,500 words like what we see.
I would be happy with 500. I would be happy with 2,000. I'm really happy if anyone does any project.
I need the project to be precise
well,
and
then
very
cut it down.
Stick to the benefiting points of the research. But
okay,
they are
be
giving
fabulous.
Thousands of words. How can we find the time to read, for example, 6 projects with thousands of words? And sometimes they are not very fruitful. Reading them is
well,
not
in that
very
case, don't read them, Khaldun. Do what seems useful to you and don't do what doesn't seem useful to you. But when people are just part of a course, I'm very happy if anyone does anything active within the course. If you want your project to be shorter, you shorten it, okay?
Yeah, it should be summarized, very well summarized.
So summarize it, that's great.
Yeah, the second, I mean, I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about all the groups in general.
Well, you can't always guarantee whether people have time to summarize or not. If they put a project in, that's great.
This is the point that we need somebody from the ITI to be joining our groups, to be with us, to see our work, and sometimes to conduct things or to supervise things in the right way.
No, you're all teachers. You can supervise yourselves, Khaldun.
Okay, if the teachers can't manage or run this project, how can we supervise our students and administer their study with us, their classes?
Okay, there you go. So you know already about making choices. You decide what's useful for you, and if you want a project to be shorter, you can cut it down yourself. Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about the others projects. I need to take the benefit of them every week. I need to read.
Well, if they're there, that's great. If they're there, that's great. If they're not, they're not. You need to sort out your studying, okay?
I like our project now. We have, for example, 3 people giving isolated work. It's not coherent. It's not very well planned.
It's what people could do in the time. I think really you have to be very flexible about these things, okay? People are doing this course to study for the exam. Everyone's doing it. Some people don't join in at all. That's their choice. You have to find your own way through it, but you can't force other people on the course to do anything. You find things that suit you and benefit you and go with them and exploit them more. And you just have to be a bit more relaxed about the rest of it. I mean, everyone's an adult, everyone's a paying customer. They make their own decisions, okay? Okay. I know it's not perfect. The world is not perfect. I'm sure your students are the same. You have different things.
I need the people to follow a precise.
That's not life, Khaldun. How many people do that in real life?
For example, to have a project of around 500 words, not 2,000 words, because I need time.
If your students are that
in the same time spent on the 2,000 word project.
Okay, it's a great idea, but it's not very practical. Okay.
Yeah, because we have a problem with the time. We have a shortage of time. If I am
okay, well, I'm going to go on to another question because you're saying the same things over and over. Okay. Okay. How about?
So may I just add?
Can you tell me your name because it's written in a slightly different way on the screen, and I don't know how to say it.
My?
Yes.
Marina.
Marina. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't read that alphabet very well.
Okay. I just wanted to interrupt and to add to the previous speaker. Well, I think that maybe one point that he wanted to express, I'm not very sure, maybe we need a kind of feedback on our project because, well, actually, the things that we get feedback is only the exam task.
Yes.
We don't get feedback on any other activities. Actually, there are not a lot of activities. yeah, maybe we need a kind of feedback just to understand what was good, what was not good, how we can do it better. Because when you just study by yourself, well, actually, the main problem why people cannot study by themselves is that they need feedback from, they need the just other people's opinion on their work to improve and things like this. Maybe it would be possible to include just a very small feedback on project.
Well, what I could do, if you thought it would help, is I could get groups to give feedback on each other's projects.
Well,
then you'd have some feedback on the work, whether it was understandable, whether it was, but of course that would take more time.
Yeah, but actually, so it's going to be the second project already, and so I've read the task, I tried to do something, I tried to maybe communicate with, maybe not very hard, but I tried to, and actually what I see that people just have they send messages, but they do not have replies, or there is no actually, there is no actual communication within the group. I do not see this second project, and I haven't seen any communication within the group.
Sometimes you can be a bit unlucky with the group. I think some of the groups have had better communication than others. That's one of the reasons I change the people in the groups around each time, so that if you're in a group where there's not very much communication, that on another occasion you'll be in a group where there's actually better communication. And my experience on past courses has been that some of the groups actually have great communication for some of the projects, and other groups I know that it's just one poor person doing the work. However, when it comes to the results of having done the work, the person who's done it is the one who's benefiting. From the work you did to do your project this week, did you learn anything?
Good question, because I was the one who hasn't done a lot, actually.
Well, if you haven't done a lot,
I'm struggling with my exam task and trying to finish it. I'm struggling with the time and everything.
Exactly, this is the problem, and everyone has weeks harder and weeks that are easier. And I think we all have to be very tolerant of each other, and it's another reason why, if somebody knows from the beginning they're not going to be able to do any of the projects, I say, tell me and I'll take your name off the list, so that you don't end up with your group members always frustratingly looking for you. But most people can do something most weeks. If you know in advance it's going to be a bad week, just answer your group members and say, I can't, I'm really sorry, I just can't. The big thing about the projects is it's to give you something to do with the information each week. Sometimes they do have answer keys, not for these, about every second week. Next week, the ones that you'll do this coming week, there are answer keys, although there isn't, in fact, tutor feedback, but there are answer keys. Once you've done a project, I'll give you the original version so that you can compare and see to what extent you did it. But a lot of them are open-ended, and they just are open-ended. You are all teachers. You have got to a point where you need to be able. But if you're keen, or if you're interested in what I've seen occasionally on past courses, if you look at someone else's project and there's something you like about it, why not say, oh, look at the Noun Groups project, and say, thank you so much for doing that. I do like this bit of this exercise. Did you know you could have added this? I mean, that would be a way of extending your own knowledge and helping someone else. So I'd be very happy, as long as it was done in a cooperative manner, diplomatically. It would be a good idea to have a look at the other projects and think about what feedback you could give. That would be one way of structuring how you look at it. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay, Sally, excuse me. This is actually, my name is Zahra, in case you just wonder.
Oh, you're Zahra. Oh, no, that makes me feel better. I was worrying that Zahra was the one person who had talked to me about how to get into the room and then not appeared in the room.
I have a nickname, so I use my nickname. So, is there anything that we would have learned if we, had participated in the face-to-face course?
Well, I think the thing you get from the face-to-face course, you don't get anything different. I mean, you've seen the video, and what you'll find is if you watch the videos over the week, some of them from a different courses, so you'll see different groups of people doing some of the activities. Eventually you'll even see some of this group doing the activities. Talking of which, I think he's uploaded the demonstrations. I must go and find them for you, so you can see your spokesperson doing the demonstrations. And yeah, I don't think you do really. You get this, and that's why we wanted to introduce this into the course. If you're in the sessions, you get the chance to ask questions when there's a tutor in the room. But really, we're taking you through activities that are structured pretty much in the same way as the self-study sets. A lot of those are the things that we're handing out as worksheets, and they're working on little groups, and then we talk to them together about what they've done or not done. So the only things that people get that are extra if they're based in Istanbul and they're able to come really is the camaraderie and the sense of being in the same room with a couple of other people who are trying to do the same thing. Okay, this will cut out in about 3 or 4 minutes because this is the free Zoom plan because I don't use it for teaching. And Zahra, I think you have quite a bit more experience of it than I do, but thank you for your hints and tips.
Kate has written something, Sally.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Anybody hear me?
You want the answers? Okay. Well, the answers that Ekaterina put up were pretty good, actually. And those are, yes, that's the answer. Those are the answers. Well done.
So, the last question...
Actually, it wasn't particularly formal, that first email. The other was from a novel. But
sorry, Sally, can you introduce a book that I can study about features of different, like the website, like the newspaper? So where can I find?
There isn't one. What I'm going to do is try and design the week 9 project so that you can work on it together. The week 8 writing session focuses on this. Discourse in week 7 focuses on this. But it's only 5 points. Out of 200 points, it's only 5 points. So don't get too hung up on it right now. Look at other big, broad areas. I will make the week 9 project about it so you can help each other make lists that answer that. Thakwan, I don't know why we can't hear you. I could hear you at the beginning.
Okay, no one listens to me, no one hears me.
Oh, I can hear you now. I didn't hear you earlier, I'm afraid.
You hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I have a suggestion about the lectures that we've, or the extracts that you've made to us and we've received from you. Why don't focus on the practical side, not the theoretical side? We can...
because the practical side is module 2. And also, what you find is in...
I mean the practical side that we've taken in the exams, like the course analysis, how to analyze a text or how to comment on, for example, a grammar form like that we've taken in the last exam. Everything in the theoretical part, we can find it in the handout that we've taken from you. Why don't focus on the practical side, in the extracts? Or in the video on the lecture that you've made in the class.
What do you mean by the practical side, Mr. Thakwan?
Like for example, the text that we've received in the final exam, how to analyze or comment on the passage. Yeah, this is the first time for us to how to comment on the passage. We didn't get an opportunity to do it recently, but yeah. In the final handout.
Well, we're only doing some, each week we're only doing a bit of some, by the time we've done all the 10 weeks, you'll have done lots of everything. But at the moment, we've still only done some parts of some tasks, because we're only in week 2, remember?
The message that I want you to understand me, the handouts that we receive, everything in the handouts is theoretical, not any practical.
Because the module is theoretical.
Sorry?
Because the module 1 is theoretical.
Yeah, it is. Paper 2 of the 2 papers is more practical, but we haven't got to paper 2 yet.
Mr. Thakwan means that we should have practice or drilling.
For example,
things like drilling will come in module 2.
Before we go to the exam practice, before we have exposure to the exam, to have a kind of discussion or practice on some worksheets that we have a good idea about for example, the features, the general, like what we have got in the exam.
Well, sometimes there is. For example, if you do the speaking task in week 2, that shows you how to approach task 3 of paper 1. It gives you practical pointers and tips. And this coming week, you'll be doing that task. And I will say, go back and look at the speaking task notes, because they will help you do paper 1, task 3 in your exam practice.
I mean, things we've seen in the video are the same in the handout.
That's right, yes.
So we need extra, we need more, because it's something challenging. It's not a picnic to answer these.
There will be more. There's 8 more weeks.
Sorry?
There will be more. There are 8 more weeks.
Yeah, but we have many things to do during the
I
week.
know, yeah.
Besides our work, we're not free. We're not just sitting without
None of us are, Thakwan. Believe me, none of us are free sitting doing nothing.
I think I need, just in order to highlight the practical side during the lecture that you've taken us, in order just to achieve.
I think you'll find we do more and less in different sessions. Some of the sessions are very task focused. Some of the sessions are, for example, there's one coming this week in week 3 about paper 2, task 3. It's very task focused, how to do the task. But other sessions are more about, look, this is the body of knowledge, because some knowledge you need to be able to apply into all the tasks.
So that's it.
Yeah, it's a mix. It's not all about exam strategy. It's a bit, if you were teaching, I don't know, first certificate class, you'd spend some of your lesson time looking at the actual tasks of the exam and how they should approach them. You'd spend more of your lesson time trying to make sure they were increasing their vocabulary and their fluency, and and it's the same with this.
I agree with you, Mr. Thakwan, totally agree with you, because when Dr. Sally gave us good analysis about the use of the definite and indefinite articles during exam, we could answer very well. But for example, the first question, part 1, which is about the features of the Jannah, we couldn't do that very well, because we don't have previous analysis for similar questions.
Well, that's why I suggested you look at the sample one before you tried it. But we can't show you everything before you do any exam practice. Did you read the forum post this morning? It's like a toddler waiting to walk until he's understood how to walk. You have to try doing some things to understand what you need to know. It's a mix. Try a bit, learn a bit. Try a bit, learn a bit. Yeah?
Sally, imagine that we are English teachers and we face some difficulties while we're doing our exams. What about those who are not teachers? I think there are some engineers who are joining this course, some engineers or some people who are not in charge.
Oh no, if somebody's doing module 1 of the Delta, they should be teaching English, because that's why you need it. And if they're not, that's a different story.
I see someone, maybe he's an engineer or something like that, maybe, since the first session.
I think you need to focus on English teachers. If it's module 1, it's usually about English teachers.
Excuse me.
Questions.
Okay, Kate?
Yeah. What to read for paper 2, task 2?
Read, well, that's where you need to know about skills teaching, different kinds of skills teaching, different general methodology. And it's where the things, remember you were doing the projects on alternative approaches, that will help you with that. We'll go back to second language acquisition, that will help you with that. That comes up in week 5, I think, and we'll focus on it quite a lot, okay?
Okay, and what about paper 2, task 2, when you have to analyze some tasks from a course book? Is there any course book?
Oh, that's that. Sorry, Kate. Well, there isn't much practice for that, because obviously if you're analysing things from a course book, it's there isn't a book of how to do that. There isn't a book about how to do that. But that's why, if you've read the Richardson Rogers Approaches and Methods in Language Teaching, or the other one, I've forgotten her name. There's another one, if you look on the methodology page, about principles. Larson Freeman, that's it. Larson Freeman, Principles and Something of Language Teaching. Those 2 books both look at different approaches and the ideas and beliefs that underlie them. So reading either one of those 2 books would be helpful for you when it's thinking about what's underneath. So we focus on that actively in about, I think it's week 5 when we focus on that.
There is a book, How to Teach Grammar, and in this book, from the chapter 3, there are sample lessons which are exactly analyzed from different approaches, exactly how to teach grammar. So from conversation or from reading, this book might be useful too for...
All of the How to Teach series are useful. There are about 5 or 6 different ones. How to teach vocabulary, how to teach how to teach writing. There are about 5 or 6. They're all good.
Okay. And also, today I left a comment. You gave 2 short texts and give me 5 features of the genre, and like I would like to receive a comment from you, maybe not right now, maybe later when we have time.
Ekaterina.
Yeah,
no, I commented about 3 minutes ago. You must have not heard me. I said that Ekaterina left good answers for that task. You're approaching it in the right way.
So the answers are fine, because I didn't receive a comment, and actually, like, still, it's also a question for me if I'm right about the genre.
It looked, I mean, I only looked very quickly, but it certainly looked like the right kind of thing.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay.
Well, that was one of the reasons I didn't respond. Normally in the forums, if I see something I'm worried about or something that nobody has answered, then I will respond. But if I don't answer, it means I think everything's going beautifully and you're answering each other really well.
Okay then. Yeah.
Because sometimes you give each other great answers, and you don't need me in there as well.
Okay. Because I was just wondering about how it was like correct.
Well, I didn't go through and carefully check each one, but certainly the general approach and the sense that I got reading it quite quickly, it looked all right. It looked like you're doing it the right way.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
I have a question, Dr. Sally. It's about the possibility of taking all the 3 modules, Module 1, Module 3, then Module 2, but to do the exams and to make our final dissertations at the end of the work.
You can do that. Some people do that.
Integrated modules, the 3 modules together. If that's possible, if you can advise us about that.
You can do that. Some people do that. It has advantages and disadvantages. Some people say that when they've been studying very actively for Module 1, they've got the techniques in their head, they've got all the names of all the different places of articulation and other technical bits and pieces like that in their head, then it's great to do the exam. Other people have said, well, the reading they have to do for Module 2 and Module 3 also contributes to their general ELT knowledge. So actually it helps them in the long run. So doing the exam right at the end is a possibility.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thakwan, are you trying to say something?
Sorry, yeah, I have two questions. First.
Okay. This room will shut itself quite soon. We must be nearly at 40 minutes, but I'm warning you, but try. See if you can get them in. Okay,
thank you. So, for example, we are asked to comment on form, use and meaning, okay? And the chunk is would like, or I don't know, would go. Okay, so are we supposed to comment on the form just in the context, in the text that we have,
yes,
or no?
Yes.
And use and meaning as well.
Yeah. If it's the task 5.1 where it's in a text, they're always asking about it in that text at that time. How is it being used there?
So it is like in CELTA. When in CELTA we were commenting on form, meaning, pronunciation, we were commenting only on in the context of the test.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I have another question. What is very quickly, the difference between use and meaning? I always confuse these two.
It's quite a lot of the time, if you give an answer, there is a lot of overlap. So quite a lot of the time, the marker would be allowed to give you the points, whatever heading you put it under. But some things have very little meaning, but are used. So, for example, the definite article, the, doesn't in itself have very much meaning, but it's used in certain ways. Or the passive doesn't in itself have very much meaning, but what you do is use it to shift the weight and the stress in a sentence, to shift what's important in a sentence. So some of the other structures actually bring quite strong meanings with them. Some modals, for example, in certain contexts, add a lot of meaning to where you've put them in. They add uncertainty or certainty, for example.
So
Mary, you can read. Just yesterday, I asked the same, or it was 2 days ago. On Saturday, I asked the same question about meaning and use. And the tutor who was checking my exam practice,
Anna,
she gave me actually a really good explanation about the word kinda, and kinda, the meaning of it, sort of, for example, and why you use it to sound more colloquial. So you can, on Saturday I posted a topic, my questions about paper, about exam practice 2, paper 1, task 5, and actually she explained this meaning and use, and she gave examples there.
Oh, okay, so it's on the forum, yeah?
Yes, it's on the forum.
So Sally, do we get a certificate when we finish Delta 1 and we
No,
take the exam?
you just have to do the exam. We don't give you a certificate because
I know, after.
If you pass the exam, yes, you get a certificate from Cambridge.
Oh, right. Okay.
You get each module, you get an individual certificate, and if you finish all 3 modules, you can actually then put in a request to have a combined certificate as well. Okay?
What is the meaning of pass? I know that there are 3. You can pass with distinction, pass with merits, and just pass.
That's right.
Is there any? I mean, practically, for example, I come to some school, I apply somewhere, I show my certificate, and for example, there is just pass. Like they're asking me, why only pass? Why not pass with merit?
No. Most people are just impressed that you've got the Delta at all. Occasionally, I have people at the beginning of the course saying, I want higher grades. Usually, by the time they're halfway through the course, they're just saying, if I can pass, that'll be fine. And also the longer you go through your career, the less it matters. Trust me, no one asks me ever what grades I got on my CELTA or my Delta.
I was asked about my CELTA, and I was asked, why only pass? Why not pass B?
I only passed my CELTA. I haven't got a higher grade on it. So I really would not worry about it. In the longer term, if you do good work, I don't think a higher grade becomes at all important. Okay.
It's actually like, out of few hundred points, like maximum and Delta, we can actually we can virtually fail half of Delta and still be pass.
Well, you could look at the bright side and say, I managed to do half of this beautifully. Okay, I'm going to stop this now before it actually clicks off automatically, because that seems like a good point. Okay? All right, lovely talking to all of you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.